Good morning and welcome everyone to the Advising Skype for this month. I just did want to take a few minutes and talk about One Door. We know that it's talked about a lot across the community college system right now. So I just want to touch on that for advising. That for, at least in my perspective, this means that advisors across the state are all developed professionally the same, so you have the same trainings. You will have your own special populations and special needs that you have, but everyone has access to the same training. And so on this call now is college and career readiness, continuing education, and curriculum. And I want to, going forward, that's one of the reasons why the listserv was created, is so that everyone can have access to all of the same information. Just a heads up, I have muted the audience, so if you do have a question, whenever we get to that in just a little bit, you can press *6 to unmute yourself if you're on the phone, or you can unmute yourself on the computer and ask your question, or if you would like, you can actually type it up in the chat box, whichever you prefer. I did want to also touch on the advising framework. This was developed in 2017 with the Student Success Center. They got together with advisors across the state, and this was developed just as a framework. It was flexible enough for those that were in smaller colleges, for the larger ones, for rural, for urban. It's pretty flexible for use. We are currently reviewing this information just to see, is this still applicable to everyone? So if you have any suggestions or maybe some critique of what could be added, if you would send that to my email, I would appreciate that. It does address a lot of topics, but it could be that we are missing one in particular. I did have a few announcements. I wanted to make sure that everyone has access to these tools. These were a couple of transfer specific, but the ones that were sent to me recently. On the left, you'll see the transfer toolbox, and here is the website here, that you can access this information if you don't already have it. And then I was chatting with UNC in the past couple of weeks, and she let me know that the transfer talks have been initiated. They had one in September, and they will have them on the second Tuesday of each month. So the next one will be October 8th. The sign up is pretty straightforward and easy. I think that was just putting your name, your email, and then clicking one thing and submitting. So it's pretty quick. Does anybody have any questions about those in particular? So with these transfer talks, this is set up by UNC. So if you have any specific questions, you can ask them. Okay, so I have several that say asking if we will receive a copy of this PowerPoint. You will. I will send this out this afternoon because I know that as advisors, students come first, and there may be times where if a student walks in, they're going to hold the priority. So I will absolutely send this out, and that would be a summary. If there's any particular discussion questions, I'll send that out as well. Are there any further questions? I see a couple of you, your sound is not working. For others, can you hear me? Just if at least one person will reply and let me know that you can hear me well. Okay, so I'm not quite sure why. Not quite sure why you're having sound issues, but I am recording the session just in case, so that I can send that out to everyone and you can review the information. I appreciate that. Okay, this is time for advising associations. We have 3 that are represented for advising across the state. So we have the College Transfer Program Association, the North Carolina Community College Advising Association, and they've got that shortened up for N3C2A. We also have North Carolina Community College Adult Educators Association. If there's one that I'm missing, if you will please let me know. These are the ones that I was aware of. And so for CTPA in particular, do we have Pat on the phone so that she can discuss CTPA? I've unmuted just in case she's on. Let's see. She was just going to kind of Pat was going to give an overview of CTPA.
I'm here.
Okay. All right.
We go.
Sorry about that. Go right ahead. You have the floor.
Yep. The College Transfer Program Association, it started probably back in the late 90s. I'm the current president, and it started just as a community college program. And we had a board, and all of the community colleges were involved anytime they had a question about advising or anything like RISE or the new 2014 AA. Then that's really what the forum was for. And they've always had a conference every year with updates. And then recently we opened this up to universities. So each of the 4 regions have 2 university representatives on the board. And so this way we can kind of put a little bit more conversation and partnerships between the 2. And they help us with topics and updates and help us with the conference. So that's basically what CTPA is. It was the first organization in the state where everyone could be associated together, all the 58 schools, and everyone would have a voice.
Okay, Pat, did you want to announce your upcoming professional development?
The only thing that we have right now that we're doing is our spring conference.
Yes, that's what I meant. Yes.
That's the one. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, we just decided on it. So it is March 20th, 2020, and it's going to be at South Piedmont. And of course, the system office will be there and the TAC will be there. So we'll start with all of the updates that are in the state and in the legislature. And then we will start going over topics that are specific to the community colleges. So they're welcome to, they have my email to write in if they have a topic that they'd like us to discuss. That's exactly what we're putting together now, are the individual sessions.
Okay, I wanted to bring that up in particular so everyone can kind of go ahead and mark it off on their calendar. Okay, did anybody have any questions for Pat? Okay, so we will move next to N3C2A. Is Reese on the phone with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Reese, I can hear you, so you have the floor now.
Good deal, thank you. Good morning. I am Reese Linnell. I'm a transfer advisor at Stanley Community College, and I'm the vice chair of N3C2A. Scott Byington at Central Carolina is our president and has been since the foundation of this organization. We, about 12 people met for an interest meeting in July of 2017 at the system office building, and a core group of people continued to meet for the next couple of months, and the organization was officially established in November of 2017. The stated mission is to promote student success across the state's 58 community colleges by providing resources, professional support, and collaborative platform for advising personnel. And the ultimate vision is to be able to promote student success through advising. And our membership is open to any full or part-time advisors, anyone who is currently advising community college students, or someone who provides direct support to community college advising within the system. For me, being relatively new to the advising world a couple of years ago when this began, I wasn't sure what the difference between the CTPA and this organization was going to be. And it's partially in the name, but also the purpose. CTPA is for transfer purposes. This organization is open to all advisors across the state. We have, as an association, conducted a couple of surveys across the state, trying to get an idea of what advising technologies schools are using, the advising structure of our schools, and some information about advisors. We've held one conference to this point in 2018, and our members have presented at several events that information that we gained from those surveys, including the Performance Partnership Summit in July of this year. We have a website now, n3c2a.org. That is relatively new in the last couple of months, n3c2a.org. There's a little bit of information there about the organization, contact information for all of us that are in leadership, and a way for you to join. No fees to join, just an organization for advisors, and we're still, again, in the early stages. Our upcoming opportunity will be in the spring, where we're partnering with the Student Success Center at the central office for a spring event. Dates and information are coming soon. Again, we welcome all advisors across the state to be involved with us. And if you have any questions, you can contact us through the website, or if there's a moment now, I'll try to answer those.
Thank you, Reese. I appreciate it. And for those that are on, I am going to send out this PowerPoint, and it has links to the websites for all 3 of these associations, and that's also on the System Office website. Does anybody have any particular questions for Reese before we move on? Okay, do I have Alan on the phone? He is going to be representing the North Carolina Community College Adult Educators Association.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now, Alan.
I had a little challenge getting myself mute. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So let me first clarify that the Adult Educators Association is not an advising organization. However, some of the work that our members do is related to advising. So for those of you who are not familiar, we were formed in 1965, and our purpose is to provide leadership for the advancement of adult education throughout the state. We promote this concept, the concept of lifelong learning for all citizens, and we promote sound management practices throughout the adult education curriculum, instructor training, certification, accreditation, and record keeping. And our job is to encourage quality work performance and professionalism for all adult educators. We just had our annual conference last week. We were very pleased to have it. Each conference focuses on sharing the best practices from throughout the state. So we always start with a pre-conference for those who are involved in HRD, or Human Resource Development, as well as CCR, which is College and Career Readiness. And then we move directly into our conference, and we cover issues like data-driven decisions in order to make program improvements, also preparing students for the digital economy, and also addressing the technical skills gap, just to name a few. We have 400 people at our conference each year, last week, and that's a little bit more than the previous years. We are open, our membership is open to all full-time and part-time continuing education instructors, administrators, and support staff, and we always have a great partnership with the community college system.
Thank you.
I'm open to answer whatever questions you have, and I'm glad that you invited us to participate.
Thank you. I knew that you weren't completely advising, but since you do address it, I thought it was appropriate, and I thank you so much for taking the time today. Did anybody have any questions for Alan?
Well, thanks very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, so I was going to move along to professional development opportunities that are coming up. We have the NACADA conference in Louisville, Kentucky. That's going to be 3 weeks from today. So if you're interested, I know lots of people have let me know that they're attending. We have our advising project attendees attending as well. So I will be there. Please come up and introduce yourself so I can meet more advisors across the state. I would appreciate that. We also have the Deficit-Minded to Equity-Minded workshop. There's one in October in Southeastern, and then another offered in November for Blue Ridge. They do have some future dates, but they weren't specific, so I can keep you updated with those as they post. I attended this last week and it was fantastic. So I highly encourage you, if you have the opportunity, if you have the funds, then you should attend the workshop. There's also Courageous Conversations, and then the Deficit Minded and the Courageous Conversations are both offered through the Student Success Center. So Courageous Conversations, you'll see, will be at Bladen Tech this week, and then in November at Fayetteville Tech. I did have the CTPA conference here. That's going to be in March, so you can go ahead and mark your calendars at South Piedmont. And then we are in the Region 3 for NACADA, and that one will be held in April in Lexington, Kentucky. The reason NACADA's on here twice is they are the top national organization for advisors, and so you'll find lots of information on their website. They have a journal, they have lots of different articles. So if you do have an advising question, or if you want to look at best practices or new strategies, what's coming down, what's the new thing, that would be the first place you need to stop. Okay, so I'm going to move along to the questions that were submitted. I had the link for the Skype as where you could submit questions. So the first one is, how is RISE going to work for pre-health science students who only need DMA 10 through 50 and no additional math? I am not a RISE expert, so I asked the experts, and you can find this crosswalk guide on the RISE Google site, and you'll see down here is you have the multiple measures, you have the DMAs listed here, and then the RISE equivalent. So that would be what you would need to use if this doesn't answer your question. Then if you want to either put more questions in the chat box or email me directly, that would be perfectly fine. But when I asked this morning, this was what I was pointed towards that would be the best resource for you. And like I said, this is on the RISE Google site. We get those emails on Friday, so you can go back to your previous one if needed. The other question was, is there a group only for pre-health science advisors? There is not. So if someone would like to create one, that would be perfectly fine. But most are just for general. If you had specific questions for pre-health science, then just let me know. And like I said, if I'm not able to answer you immediately, then I will seek out the answer that best suits your needs. So do we have any further questions? This was the time I wanted to, for our first Skype, just kind of leave it open in case you had any questions. A lot of times when I'm presenting or attending events across the state, then I get a lot of questions, so this is your time. If you would like to, you could put them in the chat box. And like I said, if you are on the telephone, then you just need to press *6 to unmute yourself, because I do have the audience muted at the moment, so you can unmute yourself and ask your question. So I have one from Alfreda, is how does RISE affect OCS students? And OCS students are, I'm not familiar with that term, I apologize. If you want to just kind of follow up with me so I can specifically answer your question. And any other questions as well. Occupational course or study. Thank you both for the answer. So exactly, do you mean, okay, so this is CCR side? Okay. So they are students with high school diplomas and they are currently going to enroll in curriculum. Is that your question? Yes, okay. So, thank you, Jessica. You just answered my question. Okay, so Jessica Honeycutt said The way I understand it, they follow the RISE GPA qualifications. This doesn't show on their transcript. Okay, and then Nicole Worley indicated that the OSC diploma is recognized as a diploma but does not prepare a learner for college, so because the courses are occupational based. So it looks like you would follow the GPA qualifications, and let me see, I believe they're on here as well. And if this particular form does not answer your question, there's several on the RISE site. This one just I had pulled up in particular for the submitted question. Okay, so admissions departments should be able to look at the transcript and notice the differences, and then you can meet with the student so they can determine what track they're going to be taking, and then have counselors speak with them individually. Okay. Okay, so if they do have a high GPA, their transcripts can still be evaluated, and then have someone meet with them individually to determine how the college would like to proceed. Do we have any other questions? Okay, and Robert indicates that their admissions and advising team identifies and assesses this population on an individual basis. So I'm assuming you meet with them individually to kind of determine what their career goals are, and that's excellent to see which would suit them best. Thank you. Does the advising organization, work with N3CSDPA? These acronyms. As far as I know, they do not. That may be a good recommendation for those of you that are still online, if you would like to work in conjunction, maybe to host a joint conference that shares the load, because I know conferences are a lot of work. Thank you. So have many of you already joined these advising associations? I know I posted, I think shared through an email where you could join several, but now pretty much everybody has websites, and that way you can keep current with the information as well. Does CCR have an advising group? This is from Michelle. I hope I didn't butcher your name, Michelle, I'm sorry. That's why I included the Adult Educators Association. There's not one in particular for CCR, but they would fall under N3C2A as well, since that is for all advisors. And that is, you can email Marsha Miller, and I'll send out the PowerPoint, and it has her information, and get signed up, and then basically you're on that email listserv. And then they have a newly developed website where you can check in to see what professional development is in the works. I appreciate all of you that applied to the advising project that we posted recently between CTE and CCR, that we received an overwhelming response. We were floored. We had 46 applications, and we were only able to select 20. So I apologize if you were not selected this year. My hope is that it will be so successful that we will have it again next year as well. So please don't hesitate. Just keep that in the back of your mind as a possibility that they may be released again next year and you can apply again. And Reese has posted N3C2A's website so that you can click on that and access that this morning. Yes, Dr. Hughes, are you going to follow up on the OCS question? Dr. Hughes is split between CCR and student services as I am, and she is on the student services side. She is our disabilities services guru. So she's probably still typing her answer. Does anybody have any other questions as well? Okay, here we go. So Dr. Hughes states that students with an OCS diploma can be identified by the 5th digit character D, but they should have the same opportunity to participate as any other student if they are eligible, of course. The B should not be used as a tracking to prevent participation. I'm sure you all know that, but that's just a reminder that these students should not be treated differently in services. So I appreciate that, Dr. Hughes. Thank you. I do plan to have another Skype before the end of the year, most likely in November, and this one will be an open Skype as well. And then next year we will begin to have topic-based Skype sessions for your professional development. But for the first couple, I wanted to hear what their needs were, if you had any particular suggestions. Yes, anybody that has any questions about the OCS, then please just follow up with Dr. Hughes. Her email is on the System Office website as well. I want to be cognizant of your time. If there's no further questions, then I appreciate everything that you are doing for students every day across the system. If you have any concerns, if you have any problems, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you for your time this morning. I appreciate it.